Hey, welcome to So Awkward. Don and Jester here, and we just saw... Oh yeah, Jester's not here. She had to go to a wake. Forgot. I went to the movies. I just saw Interstellar. So yeah, Interstellar, the new film by Christopher Nolan, starring Matthew McConaughey and a bunch of other people who are in a lot of Christopher Nolan movies. I thought it was pretty good. I'll say that right from the start. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I saw it. I was entertained. I respected the hell out of it. But like most Christopher Nolan films, having seen it, I don't think I need to see it again. Not only because it was about 3 hours long, but because it was, he doesn't necessarily make movies to be enjoyed. He makes movies to be experienced. And he's really good at it. He's really good at making epic, mind-blowing extravaganzas. But they're not always that entertaining. At least, not on repeated viewings. So, Memento, great film. Insomnia, great film. Inception, great film. Saw them all once. And really liked them, but I don't need to see them again. I don't need to see this movie again. I don't know if I recommend it. If you're a fan of Christopher Nolan and you love his movies and you own his movies and you see his movies all the time, you've already planned to see this one. So definitely see it. You won't be disappointed. It lives up to his work. But this wasn't my favorite of his films. I'm not going to give anything away, because I went into it not knowing anything about it. I've seen the teaser trailer, and that's it. I knew that it was about Matthew McConaughey, and the Earth was dying, so they sent an expedition into space to do something. That's all I knew. And having seen the movie, I don't really know much more than that, to be honest. That's all I'll say. So I do think you should go in not knowing anything, or knowing very little, because part of the experience is in watching the story, if you can call it a story, unravel as you learn things. And there's little they go on a space journey, and there's little adventures, and it's really neat and thought-provoking. But here's what I'll say, not just about this movie, but about sci-fi in general, sci-fi movies, which I love. Just once, I would like somebody to make a thoughtful, intelligent, good science fiction movie that doesn't delve into metaphysical gobbledygook. By that I mean 2001, brilliant science fiction film until the ending where it turns into metaphysical gobbledygook. Gravity, another great science fiction film until the second half where it gets metaphysical gobbledygook. Star Trek the Motion Picture. Contact. Contact is kind of gobbledygook from beginning to end, but the ending is really gobbledygook. It's just metaphysical malarkey. This one is no different. I'm not going to talk about the ending, but it does follow that same arc that all big budget, thoughtful sci-fi movies seem to do, where they start out really strong with the science, and then it just turns into something else, something I don't like. I like the science stuff, I like seeing spaceships, and I like all the physics, and I like people coming up with equations and slingshotting around and doing this, and air braking, and deep sleep, and I like the tech and the suits, and I like going to alien worlds. I don't so much like the concept that love is the binding force of the galaxy. And I'm not saying that's what this movie said. It said something like that. I didn't really understand what this movie said any more than I understood what 2001 said, or what Contact was all about. I'm not a metaphysical guy. I don't even like movies with dream sequences. This is one of those movies that's hard to review, because I think it's exactly the film that the director Christopher Nolan and the writer Christopher Nolan, and I think his brother, set out to make. I think this is exactly the movie they wanted to make. So for that, it's a huge success on an artistic and production level. But as a viewer, a lot of people are going to love it. A lot of people are going to hate it. This movie is going to be incredibly polarizing, like most of Christopher Nolan's films. But I think this one more so than most, which I can't really... I will say it's very similar to a 2001 type thing, which is cool. People love that movie. I don't love that movie. I like the middle section of that movie. Once you get past the monkeys and before you get to the space baby, it's a really cool science fiction movie. This one is a little more coherent than 2001, and I understood what Christopher Nolan was doing and what he was saying, I think. It's still open to interpretation, but it's a good science fiction film. It just got a little too metaphysically gobbledygooky. Matthew McConaughey was great. That guy's on a roll. The last few years, he's just been knocking them out of the park. True Detective, Mud, the Dallas Buyers Club, where he won the Oscar. That guy can do no wrong. He's an amazing actor, and this is a really great performance. He's great. So is Anne Hathaway. She's really becoming one of the best leading ladies, for lack of a better term, in Hollywood. She's great, and she's just so pretty. There's a lot of close-ups of her, and she's just mind-blowingly beautiful. I like her face. She's got those eyes. And she's a really good actress. A phenomenal actress. She outacted Matthew McConaughey, I would say. They're both great, but her character was slightly more interesting. I'll say that. Jessica Chastain? Is that the actress's name? She's the actress that everybody's been talking about for years, because she's in a bunch of movies that I haven't seen, that smart people see. I wasn't that impressed with her acting. Sorry. She's also very lovely. I mean, she's good. Her character was just weird, though, and unbelievable. I didn't like her character. Her character made no sense to me as a human being. She didn't act like a human being. She was less a character and more of a story element driving the plot. So I can't really judge the actress because she didn't really have that much to do. Michael Caine, he phoned it in, but that's fine. He didn't have anything to do either, but it's always nice to have Michael Caine in the background of a shot. That guy from American Beauty, the kid who smoked pot, where has he been? He grew a beard and now he's in this movie. Good for him. An African American actor that I've never seen before was a major supporting role. He was great. I really liked his character. There's a robot in this movie. There's robots, but they're interesting robots. At first I didn't like the design because they went for a more realistic way of making a robot. Like, it's not humanoid, it's blocky. And it had a really quirky personality. So it was off-putting at first, the design, and the personality was weird. But as the story progressed, you kind of learned more about this robot. I think his name was Tars, which probably stood for something. If they said it, I don't remember. But he actually became a really interesting character, and I liked the design. The design begins to make sense as you see the way he moves and walks and interacts with the world. It's really pretty clever, actually, really cool. Tars. I don't know if he'll go down as one of the most iconic robots on film, just because his design is utilitarian and not artistic. I mean, he doesn't look like C-3PO. He looks like the monolith from 2001, but it's pretty neat. Ultimately, I liked the movie. The ending, which I don't want to say too much about, but honestly I can't say that much about it anyway because it's weird. And I don't want to say above my ability to comprehend, but just it was aside from my ability to care, because I'm not a huge fan of metaphysics. But there were, I really liked certain scenes, like they would land on a planet and explore these planets. It was kind of like Mass Effect, where they would go to planets and you'd have an adventure on a planet and then they go to a different planet. And in many ways, this film felt more like Star Trek than the previous two Star Trek films we've got. Those two terrible Star Trek in name alone Star Trek movies. This was a really thoughtful, interesting, realistic space exploration film. And I wish that the Star Trek movies were more like this. Because it had that message of hope, of humanity coming together to save itself, which was really powerful. In the ending, yeah, I mean, it got a little sappy and sentimental, and I could hear people behind me snickering. But it was also so well shot and so well acted by Matthew McConaughey and Jessica Chastain and the other characters that you bought it. You bought, even if you didn't believe it, you bought into this world's, the story being presented by this film. It's the kind of film that I need time to think about. I just got back from the theater, which is why this review, I'm saying, I hated it, I liked it, I hated it, I liked it, because I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about it tomorrow. Like, I think there's a chance that tomorrow I'll wake up and be like, yeah, that was better than I remember it. Like, I'm really thinking about it. Or there's a chance I'll wake up tomorrow and be like, that was so fucking stupid. That's my review of Interstellar. I liked it. I gave it a thumbs up, but with reservations. I say check it out, and I hope Jester had fun at whatever she was doing. Where am I?